Why are you still doing this? You're 80 years old, you're retired, and yet you spend all of your time and hours working on this and a lot of your own money.
It's a privilege. Here is this group of patients, the most desperate group of human beings I've ever seen. I'm uniquely positioned and uniquely capable to help treat safely many of them. I get to do science at the leading edge, which is really all I like to do. That and hike. I mean, it's not, I don't have a lot of interests. I mean, if I don't work, I don't know what to do. And so I get to do the science I want to do for the patients I want to help. I get to feel like a physician again. And I firmly believe that what we're learning is already changing in a very fundamental way how we think about health and disease. And it's time. I've been arguing for many years that we should first get rid of traditional definitions of disease. Mm-hmm. Most of them were invented hundreds to thousands of years ago, and they simply describe what patients look like when they get sick enough to come to the doctor. They're just in the way. Yeah. And we should focus not on disease, but on health and how we maintain a healthy phenotype. We don't even know what a healthy phenotype actually means. And if we have to treat, engage in genomic sequencing at birth and get to treat patients earlier. It's unequivocally clear. The earlier we treat, the better we can do.
Anna, I think what you are doing at the Broad Institute is unbelievable from the perspective of trying to make sure we can tackle rare disease by coming at it from a very broad perspective, and that makes it more affordable. Do you want to describe nodules, your theory on nodules and how you're working on this?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's a tremendous pleasure to be here and to be on the same stage as Stan. I mean, that's like a career achievement in and of itself for me. So the Broad Institute, for those who don't know, is a collaboration between Harvard and MIT. And you know, we are known primarily as the premier Genetics and Genomics Institute, which is basically a way of reading the misspellings in the DNA that cause all of these genetic diseases. But of course, what we all want to do, why we're all here, is because we want to actually find ways to treat them, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the place where we thought we could have a tremendous impact. You know, the Broad is now 20 years old, and for the next 20 years, we'd like to very much be a part of this journey of finding treatments and cures for patients. And I would like to describe, you know, the nodes that, you know, the nodes that that you referred to, or nodal biology, as I call it, is, you know, in one simple way, you could describe it as the lumpers. So if you have multiple genetic diseases, and maybe I will just actually use an example from my own work to illustrate this. We were studying a very rare genetic disease that was found on the island of Cyprus initially. And then it turns out that there's patients all over the world. And then, you know, we did our thing at the Broad Institute and found the causal mutation. And then my group found that the mutation, the misspelling, results in a misshapen, mangled protein that accumulates inside the kidney cells of these patients. And over time, the protein accumulates so much that it becomes toxic and it ultimately kills the cells. But what's interesting is that it accumulates on account of another protein that grabs it and holds onto it. It's called a cargo receptor. That is a node. Because what we then found is that the same molecule, the same cargo receptor, grabs a different misshapen protein in the eye, causing blindness. And in the brain, causing a rare form of familial Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's that runs in families, and a liver disease that we're now studying. So this molecular node gives us an opportunity to develop a drug, a singular drug, for this molecular target, a molecular definition of disease, as Stan said, that now allows us to de-orphan multiple diseases, create a bigger market, create benefit for more patients. That's the benefit of nodal biology. Now, of course, the next question is, well, was this the one thing that Anna did in her lab, or is this something that we can broaden more, do more broadly? And the answer is yes, we have the tools. We have the tools of scalable technologies that we can run experiments in the lab. And we also have, not as hype, but for real, artificial intelligence, the tools of machine learning that can help us learn about these nodes and find as many nodes as possible for as many genetic diseases as possible. That's the lumpers. But there's also the splitters. And that's the other sort of aspect of what we do, and I think it comes close to what Stan has taught us over all these years. We do have remarkable technologies. My colleague David Liu at the Broad is a pioneer in a method that allows you with a molecular machine to go and rewrite the DNA, correct the misspelling. I mean, it's mind-blowing if you think about it. And we have the tools to be able to correct these misspellings, what I call the splitters, meaning the few cases that do not belong into these larger groups of nodal biology that I previously described. So if we're going to help all patients and lift all boats, we have to actually find a system for how we can do that. And together with Wendy Chung, who's here, and David Liu, of course, at the Broad, and Kat Lutz at the Jackson Labs, and many other colleagues, really sort of takes a village. We have collaborators at Penn who are helping us with this idea of genetic surgery. So now this is the flip side of the lumping. It's the splitting, being able to actually correct the misspellings in the DNA by going in and developing these bespoke therapies for these few children, mostly children, out there in the world who need them. So finding a way to do both is really our aspiration at the Broad, to be able to build something that can ultimately address all diseases for all patients.
How soon are we in the cusp of being able to do these things?
Yeah, so in both cases, I mean, in the case of nodal biology, just to say that I'm not just in my ivory tower, if you will, in academics. I've started 2 companies. I believe in this concept of being able to take our discoveries and translate them into things that can benefit patients, and that requires commercializing some of this technology. So absolutely, we can do that, and I've been involved in efforts to do that. On the flip side, the Center for Genetic Surgery, now that's a brand new effort. It will require a lot of organization by all the wonderful colleagues who I've mentioned already. Also will require resources, because this is not the kind of thing that's a commercial opportunity. Mm-hmm. So we have to find a different way. And how soon can we get there? The technology is here today, but we have to de-risk it in the way that, every child can ultimately benefit and that we will know what we're doing. Stan de-risked ASOs in a way that we can now do this in a programmable way for ASOs. Can we do this for base editors and prime editors? I think over the next 2 to 3 years, we will be in a position with the appropriate resources, which we're now looking to raise, to be able to actually do enough of these cases, hopefully funded by philanthropy, such that we can demonstrate all the safety signals that we need to know about. And then we can develop these tools as modules. The reason we call it surgery is because if a baby is born today and they have a heart defect, and they go to CHOP or to Boston Children's, and the surgeon repairs that defect. That's a surgery that we know how to do. It's a one-off. We can fix the problem, right? And there's a risk involved in that surgery. The parents know that, and they want to save their baby. It's a little bit the same with a genetic misspelling, and we're hoping that we can develop modules that do not require FDA approval each time, but rather we have de-risked them, we understand how to use them, and then we use them in a bespoke way to correct that particular misspelling in the liver, for example, which is the first place we're looking to go, and also in the brain, so that we can help more patients. But that's going to be a different model. Ultimately, if we're able to de-risk it, I think that what we're hoping, and there's some openness to this, but it needs to be discussed further, is the idea of this becoming a reimbursable service the same way surgery is.